Hello dear fashion designers, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber or a viewer, thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you like this video that you're about to watch, make sure that you give it a thumbs up before you go. In this video, I'll be drafting a 6-piece top with Bustier, so if you're interested in this, make sure that you watch till the end. Let's dive in. So here on my pattern paper, I've drew out the starting line and also the end line. That is the length of my top. Now the length of my blouse is 23 inches. Next, I'll go ahead to mark my nipple point, which is shoulder to nipple. That's 9.5 inches. My shoulder to under bust is 12.5 inches, and then shoulder to waist is 16 inches. So I'll just go ahead to use my ruler to create the horizontal lines for it. Next, I'll mark out my shoulder, which is 8 inches, and then next I'll mark out my neckline, which is 3.5 inches. Now I'll create my shoulder slope by going down by ½ inches on the shoulder line, then I'll connect it together to the neckline just like this. So if you are size 10 above, you can go down by 1/4 inch or 1 inch. Okay, now to create my chest line, I'm going to go down by 7.5 inches and create this line just like this for my chest line. Then I will now connect it together to my shoulder slope just like this. That way we'll be able to get our armhole curve. Before I continue with my armhole curve, I'll go down by 3.5 inches for my neckline, and I'll use my curve roller to connect it just like this. So next, I'll go ahead to label my horizontal lines. I have my chest line, nipple point, under bust, waist, and then the blouse length. So after that is done, on this line I'm going to go ahead to divide what I have there by 2, and then I will go in by ½ inches so as to create our armhole curve for the front. You don't need to do this for the back pattern, but it's highly necessary for your front so as to have a very good armhole curve at the front for it to relax. So to continue with the armhole curve, I'll go ahead to measure my bust, and here I have 8.5 for my bust, so I will just connect it together like this to create the armhole curve. On my under bust, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple, which is 3.75 inches. I'll mark that also on my nipple line and also on the waistline down to the blouse length. After marking this, I'm going to go ahead to connect it together with a straight line. Then on the left side of the line, I'm going to mark ½ inches, and on the right side I'll mark 1 inches. You can choose to mark ½ inches on your left and 1.5 inches on your right if you have a bigger bust. So I'll just go ahead to connect the lines together just like this. So next, on our armhole curve, I'm going to measure out what we have there. I have about 8.5 inches, so I'll divide that by 2. I mean 9.5. I'm going to divide what I have there by 2, which is 8.25. So that's where I'm going to connect my bustier at the arm area. Okay, so I'll just mark it out like this, and then use my curve roller to connect it down together. Next, on that particular area, I'll still mark out ½ inches on both sides to create our side dart in the bustier area. Then I'll use my curve roller to connect it together just like this. On the lower area, I'm going to extend the line by 1 inches, and then I'll come down to my chest line just like this. I will add 1 inches also, and then the dart which was created here, I will measure it as well and add it in the chest line area. I will also add 1.5 inches sewing allowance on the chest line area as well, so as to create our new armhole curve. So I'll just go ahead to use my marker to create a curve so as to make it. So after that is done, I'm going to go ahead to take my waist measurement plus 1.5 inches which we have taken out for the dart. I'll do the same thing on the blouse length. I'll measure my hip measurement and then add 1.5 inches which I've taken for the dart. I will also add 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance and just connect everything together. At the blouse length, I'm going to go up by 1 inches and then I'll connect it to this dart line just like this. So our bustier has been created. Next, let's go the 6 pieces flare. So for the 6 pieces flare, I'm going to have my pattern paper cut out just like this, and then I will place it on the waist area. Okay, on the waist area, down like this. I'll place it from the waist area to the blouse area just like this. So I'll go ahead to add my paper tape or any sellotape of your choice to join it together. From this angle, I will go in by 3 inches and then I'll connect it to the waist area. Okay, you can see where we're creating like a 90-degree triangle. So that's going to be the flare for the 6 pieces. Okay, we go in by 3 inches, connect it together like this to the waist area, and then you can go ahead to cut it. On the other side of the blouse, we are also going to do the same thing. I will add the paper to it and then use my sellotape to join it together just like this. Then I will measure 3 inches from the side just like this, and then I'll connect it together. Okay, I went ahead to create my straight line first, and then I'll connect it to the waist area down like this. So that way you have created the flare for the 6 pieces blouse. So on the other side, I'll still go ahead to attach a paper to it, but I'll be extending it by 2 inches instead of 3 inches because that is the side of the blouse. So we'll just be extending it by 2 inches, and then we'll connect it to the waist area just like this. Afterwards, we are going to just cut it out. So that is it for the front pattern of our 6 pieces blouse. So next, let's draft the back pattern. On the pattern here, I've created my zip allowance 1.5 inches, and I've also indicated the starting line for our blouse length. So I will go ahead to mark my waistline, which is 16 inches, and my blouse length 23 inches. I'll just go ahead to connect it together like this. So that's the blouse length. Then I'll create the I'll draw the line for the waist area. So I'll just go ahead to label it waist and then blouse length. So next, I'll go ahead to create the shoulder. For my shoulder is 8 inches, and then for the neckline 3.5 inches. For the shoulder slope, I'll go down by 0.5 inches just like this. Then I'll use my roller to connect the shoulder to the neckline area. For our neckline, I'll be going down by 1 inches for the neck depth. Then I'll just use the curve roller to connect it down just like this. Now for the arm area, I'll go down by inches. I'll go down by 7 inches for our chest line, and then I'll create a straight line just like this. Now unlike the front, we are not going to be taking in 0.5 inches for our armhole curve. So next, I'm marking our bust point, which is 7.5 inches, and then I'll just use a straight line just like this so that we can see it. I'm doing this so that we can create our dart for the back. Now for our nipple to nipple, which is 3.75 inches, I'll mark that on the waist area just like this. Then I'll use my ruler to create a straight line just like this till the blouse length. So after drawing the straight line, on the waistline, I'll mark 0.5 inches on both sides, and then I'll connect it to the breast point. On the blouse length, I'll go up by 1.5 inches, and then I'll just connect everything together just like this. On the chest line, I'll go ahead to mark my bust 34 inches. I will add sewing allowance 1.5 inches, and then I'll create our armhole curve just like this. So on the waistline, I'll mark what I have taken out for the dart, which is 1 inches. add it to my 7.5 inches for my waist, and also 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. I will as well mark my hip on the blouse area, which is 38 inches. I made a mistake. I measured 9 inches instead of 9.5 inches. I'll still go ahead to correct it still in this video. On the blouse area, I will go up by 1 inches. This is to cause the blouse to sit well on our hip. Then for the 6 pieces on our shoulder area, I'm going to divide what I have there by 2, and then I'll connect it to the dart. That way we'll be able to split the patterns into 2, and then we'll be able to add the flare for the 6 pieces. So I'll just go ahead to cut out my pattern just like this. So after that is done, just like what we did for the front pattern, I'll go ahead and add in another extra pattern just like this from the waist area down to the blouse area. I'll use my sellotape to connect it together. So I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll do the same thing, measure 3 inches at the blouse length area and connect it down to the waist just like this. And on the side of the blouse, I'm going to go in by 2 inches just like we did in the other one. So that is how to draft a 6 pieces pattern blouse with a bustier. For the sewing, you just go ahead to connect the joints together at the front and also at the side. So this is what the front pattern looks like. I went ahead to use a sellotape to join it together. Now this is how the front will look like, and then you can join the back and the front together for the sides. If you want me to make the sewing tutorial, please let me know in the comment section. I will do well to do so. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.